Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Bud Light. Boycott kills Bud Light. Distributors lose millions. Stock loses billions. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. Results came in today for parent company of Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch InBev, and the results don't look that great. Coming from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, Anheuser-Busch sales in North America dropped by $1.5 billion last year amid the Bud Light slump. And those Bud Light numbers, of course, are not coming back. From Investopedia, Anheuser-Busch InBev stock slides as U.S. Bud Light sales decline. And where's the stock at? Well, this is the stock for the past 5 days. The stock is at $60.37 right now. For the past 5 days, it's down almost 5%. Anheuser-Busch is over a $100 billion company. It says here the market cap is $104 billion, just approximately. Every point of share negative is $1 billion down. A little bit more than that, but basically $1 billion down. They were hoping their stock price would go up when they announced their most recent results. It didn't work out that way. From Ad Age, Bud Light recovery is slower than Anheuser-Busch InBev executives expected as brewer turns to sports sponsorships. Anheuser-Busch InBev optimistic about its latest marketing partnerships, even as Bud Light continues to struggle. I did a video a couple of weeks ago where I interviewed a local beer distributor truck driver, and he told me straight up it's not 30% down. At least where I live in Long Island, New York, it's down 90%. He said he's retiring in 5 years. He's not expecting it to come back before he retires. And it's really hurt him and his distributor a lot financially. Bump Williams, expert that everybody goes to in this industry, has some updated commentary on how beer distributors are getting hurt, and he says it's really, really bad. Anheuser-Busch has been counting on expensive advertising and sponsorships to bring back Bud Light, to bring back the rest of their brands, but it's not working. From the Wall Street Journal, Bud Light missed out on the Super Bowl party. Modelo Especial took home the ring. Bud Light still in a sales slump as strike looms. The strike was settled. This strike has been pending for the last couple of months. We've done a couple of videos about this. They have a tentative settlement, which cost them an absolute fortune. From the Wall Street Journal, Anheuser-Busch Teamsters avert strike with tentative deal. But here's what made this deal even more expensive for the Anheuser-Busch people. From Bloomberg, Bud Light maker faces backlash over ads from workers this time. Anheuser-Busch InBev workers prepared to strike at 12 breweries by February 29th, which they were able to stop. But part of what they were fighting about is all of the marketing and promotion that Anheuser-Busch is investing in right now to try to save their brands. Marketing spend has become a contentious issue in union talks. The union bosses are saying if you're going to be spending hundreds of millions of dollars in advertising, why don't you just pay us more? Well, because of course that's not necessarily going to sell any more beer, but frankly, neither is the advertising. They may as well give these guys the money, right? From the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, Anheuser-Busch sales in North America dropped by $1.5 billion last year amid Bud Light slump. Sales at Anheuser-Busch InBev decreased by about $1.5 billion in North America last year amid a tumultuous year for its premier product, Bud Light, the company said during an earnings call. North American sales decreased to $15.1 billion from $16.6 billion 1 year earlier as sales to wholesalers and retailers like liquor stores decreased by about 12%. Quote, $1 billion is $1 billion, and that hurts even billionaires, said Bump Williams of Bump Williams Consulting, a Connecticut-based firm that specializes in the alcoholic beverage industry. Last year's slump came as the company faced swift backlash last spring when it sent a personalized Bud Light can to transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney as part of a marketing campaign, prompting some consumers, including celebrities like Kid Rock, to call for a boycott of Bud Light. Sales plummeted as a result, and over the summer, Modelo Especial dethroned Bud Light for the first time in more than 2 decades as the best-selling beer in America. Bump Williams said the sales decrease matters most to wholesalers, distributors, workers who are not part of the corporate team, and whose losses make up the figure. Quote, when I look at $1 billion loss, I don't look at the sum, I look at the pieces, Bump Williams said. It's the distributor network who had 50 to 60% of their profits evaporate last year. That's who paid the price for all of this last year, and those people lost millions of dollars. Anheuser-Busch CEO Michael DeCaris acknowledged during Thursday's call with investors that Bud Light had dragged down Anheuser-Busch sales in North America as the company's full growth potential was constrained by the performance of our U.S. business. Ducaris said last year was challenging, but he called the beer industry resilient, noting that the brewer provided financial assistance to wholesale partners and increased investment in brands in response. The money that they gave to their wholesale partners was really small, really very insignificant, especially compared to what they're spending on sponsorships and advertising and promotions. They did not make up the losses for those wholesalers. The truck driver I talked to told me they gave him $500 once. That came from Anheuser-Busch. That's all he got just that one time. And that's less than a fraction of what he personally lost in commissions as a driver on his route. Quote, our market share continued to improve gradually from May to the most recent weeks in February, Ducaris told investors. Revenue was up for Anheuser-Busch last year in all other markets outside North America. The Middle Americas, South America, Europe, the Middle East, and Africa and Asia Pacific, ushering in an all-time high for the company with $59.4 billion in sales. Of course, if you're an independent distributor in North America, that doesn't help you. And even with that increase in sales, their stock price is down. Though U.S. sales were down about 9.5%, overall revenue for the Belgium-based brewer was up almost 8% last year. The earnings call comes the day after the brewer narrowly avoided a strike with its 12 U.S. plants after reaching a tentative labor agreement with the International Brotherhood of Teamsters on Wednesday. Since last spring's criticism, Anheuser-Busch has doubled down on investments in sports, music, and other popular platforms. During this year's Super Bowl game, the company ran 3 different television ads featuring celebrities such as Post Malone and Lionel Messi. During Thursday's call, Ducaris highlighted several of those recent brand deals. He pointed to Bud Light's UFC deal, which they are really counting on. They're hoping that UFC can put the manhood back in their brandhood. It's not going to work. The continued Folds of Honor partnership, the company's brand presence at a major soccer championship, and the Olympics, where Anheuser-Busch recently signed on to a partnership through 2028. Here's what it cost them to get the strike settled. And keep in mind, part of the reason why they had to pay so much to get this strike settled was because of all the advertising and promotion they were spending to try to rescue their brands. From Bloomberg, Bud Light strike averted as Anheuser-Busch InBev reaches deal with workers. Bud Light maker Anheuser-Busch struck a tentative 5-year contract with workers to avoid a major strike at 12 breweries ahead of a key summer drinking season. The deal increases average wages by 23% over the life of the contract and includes an immediate $4 per hour raise in the first year. It also has enhanced job security for brewers, packagers, and warehouse workers, according to a statement from the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. Quote, after a long day and a longer campaign, we've reached an agreement that sets a new high standard for the brewing industry, Teamsters leader Sean O'Brien said in an emailed statement. There will be a $2,500 ratification bonus for every union member for each of 5,000 of their workers. That's one-time payment, and an end to 2-tier healthcare that will provide all workers with the same coverage. There will also be improved vacation time and increased pension and retirement benefits, the Teamsters said. The agreement was tentative but unanimously recommended by the Teamsters National Negotiating Committee, according to the statement. A spokesperson for Belgium-based Anheuser-Busch said in an emailed statement that the preliminary deal includes significant commitments to job security, which God knows how they're offering them job security when their volumes for Bud Light are still down by 30%. The real job security is guarantees of severance payments. Perhaps that's in their deal. I would be surprised if it wasn't. The agreement avoids throwing a major wrench into U.S. beer production. The Teamsters has said their 5,000 members who brew, package, and warehouse Anheuser-Busch beers, including Budweiser and Michelob Ultra, would stop work at the 12 breweries without a better 5-year contract by February 29th. Strikes and union bargaining power have been on the rise. The more than 450,000 workers involved in stoppages last year were a 280% increase from 2022, according to the Economic Policy Institute, a Washington-based nonprofit that analyzes economic trends. Also from Ad Age, 5 ways the Bud Light Fiasco changed beer marketing forever. From the woke corporation backlash to space on store shelves, the Bud Light controversy rocked the beer world. For what at first looked like a scandal of the day, Bud Light's partnership with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney grew into one of the biggest advertising stories of the year, catching a venerable brand in a cultural crossfire where it stayed for months. The episode erupted in April after Mulvaney participated in a campy Bud Light promotion on Instagram, along with a nonsensical can produced with Dylan Mulvaney's face on it that really made it look like Dylan Mulvaney was the new face of Bud Light. So if you consume that brand, it was like you were consuming Dylan Mulvaney. Many people rejected this concept. The video drew violent condemnation from conservatives and normal people who boycotted Bud Light. Progressives also soon grew disappointed with the brand as it distanced itself from Dylan Mulvaney and LGBT communities as Bud Light came under fire. Bud Light, which was America's best-selling beer when the controversy arose, subsequently spiraled into a severe sales slump, which it's been unable to dig itself out of. Here are 5 upshots of the controversy. Shelf allocations are changing, and we've been talking about this since May of last year. Though brands are sending different signals as to the magnitude, they agree the controversy has cost Bud Light facings in retailer resets, a key merchandising advantage the best-selling brand has long enjoyed. Constellation Brands, U.S. parent of Modelo, Corona, and Pacifico brands gained 8 to 10% more shelf space in stores that reset shelves this fall, company execs said. Modelo would be the rightful inheritor of Bud Light's real estate, having surpassed Bud Light as the country's top-selling beer in June 2023. Molson Coors, parent of Coors Light and Miller Lite brands, gained 6% to 7% more shelf space, Gavin Hattersley said in a November earnings call. For brands of this size, that is a massive amount of space. Shelf space is market share. It's almost completely equivalent. Bud Light, if it's not selling off the shelves, and in many cases it is no longer selling off the shelves, stores will not put it on a shelf. Not for no money, not for free beer. They will not do it. Execs at Anheuser-Busch InBev, Bud Light's parent company, downplayed the effects on the brand, acknowledging that Bud Light lost about 0.8 case facings out of 20, or less than 5% in stores that made changes in the fall. A bigger test will come next spring, at a time when retailers typically do more thorough resets. Sticking to beer. Anheuser-Busch InBev execs have made it clear Bud Light isn't courting controversy anymore, but just what counts as controversial is a matter of some debate. Michael DeCaris, Anheuser-Busch InBev CEO, said the company has engaged with more than 260,000 customers since April 2023 and gotten a clear message from them. They don't want provocation. They only want beer. They want Bud Light to concentrate on crowd-pleasing platforms such as the NFL, college football, and country music, and Bud Light marketing to focus on beer such as the Easy to Summer and Easy to Sunday campaigns introduced by the brand this year. Mulvaney had a different take. The transgender influencer in June posted a video that condemned Bud Light for failing to come to Mulvaney's defense while saying the company needn't have interpreted the incident as divisive in the first place. Quote, supporting trans people shouldn't be political, Mulvaney said. There should be nothing controversial or divisive about working with us. Well, whatever, Mulvaney, but you absolutely ruined people's lives, ruined jobs, cost distributors millions of dollars. Many people have been laid off. People have been laid off at aluminum can plants that have been shut down. People have been laid off at glass plants that have been shut down. It's a bad year for beer. The Bud Light story was by far the most severe story during a tough year for beer. While there were significant share shifts among beer brands, overall beer volume was dwindling. Domestic shipments dropped 7.4% in September, marking the 7th straight month of declines, according to Beer Institute figures reported by Beer Business Daily. Culprits range from customers rejecting price increases to increased legal cannabis use, along with an explosion of alternatives ranging from alcohol-free drinks to canned spirits. Survey work undertaken by Bump Williams Consulting indicated that many former Bud Light drinkers were leaving the beer category entirely, switching to spirits or spirits-based ready-to-drink beverages. Despite the double whammy of a soft industry and mass boycott, Bud Light kept up its marketing this year, tripling its summer ad spending and spending heavily on the NFL and college football. Anheuser-Busch InBev in June shined an appreciative light on its beleaguered employees and distributors in a spot called That's Who We Are, trying to make people feel bad because they weren't supporting a brand that didn't care about its customers by showing that, yes, the company, Anheuser-Busch, has hurt thousands and thousands of people with this. I don't even know how many. Brand leaders pay the price. Bud Light had been in a sales decline, albeit a slow-moving one, for more than a dozen years, and brand execs were hopeful this would be the year the decay stabilized. A new brand platform, easy to drink, easy to enjoy, debuted in January 2023 with a brand voice that was more confident, more magnetic, and more aspirational than before, according to Benoit Garbe, who's now left the company in disgrace, unfortunately, because of the failure of the Bud Light marketing promotion, then Anheuser-Busch InBev's U.S. Chief Marketing Officer. The new positioning did away with Bud Light's long reliance on humor and was a big step from the bikini ads of the brand's distant past. That was no mistake. Alyssa Heinerschied, then the youthful marketing vice president for Bud Light, said the brand needed to reach new audiences, including women and younger legal-age drinkers, to reverse its decline. Heinerschied, whose remarks to that effect in a March podcast fueled vicious backlash. She took a leave of absence in April, along with Daniel Blake, group vice president of marketing for Anheuser-Busch InBev's mainstream brands. The company at the same time said it was reducing marketing layers so that its senior leaders are more closely connected to every aspect of our brand's activities. Anheuser-Busch InBev has not commented on the status of Heinerschied or Blake. Heinerschied actually said that the brand was too fratty. Bud Light was too fratty. And it was someone on her marketing team, we found this out through an article in The Guardian, that said they were excited to plant the seeds of inclusion into their beer brand Bud Light. They did it deliberately. Anheuser-Busch was completely aware of what they did, certainly didn't survey any customers seeing if they were interested in any of that. They wanted to use their brand identity to push their ideological agenda. And that's what got them destroyed. The backlash comes to roost. While corporations loosen their historical reticence to embrace social issues in the aftermath of George Floyd's death, a chilling backlash against so-called woke capitalism came to roost in 2023, and not only for Bud Light. Competitor Miller Lite caught flack for a March spot that decried sexist beer advertising. Citing employee safety concerns after disruption in some stores, retailer Target pulled some of its Pride-related merchandise, only to come under fire from LGBT rights supporters. Target pulled like all of that merchandise. You couldn't buy it even if you could find it. There were stories about how customers would come up with items to the register that they found somewhere in the store, whether it was a book or a mat, but it was part of their LGBT push, and the cashier said they couldn't sell the merchandise. They showed pictures of this in the Target Reddit group where there was merchandise being destroyed in the back where they destroy their cardboard boxes and other garbage. They like to say they pulled some items. They pulled pretty much all of the items pretty much everywhere because they realized you can't just take your store and push ideology on your customers. Your customers aren't going to the store for ideology as if it was some type of religious experience. All they want is a product that's worth more to them than the money they're spending. That's all they want. That's all we want. The Los Angeles Dodgers made a mess of their Pride Night celebration, first disinviting and then reinviting the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, a drag queen group whose use of religious imagery drew protests from Catholic groups. Quote, I think companies that have supported inclusion and diversity will continue to do that. The thing that might change, though, is how they do it. Tim Calkins, Associate Chair of the Marketing Department and Clinical Professor of Marketing at Northwestern's Kellogg School of Management. Quote, and I think that the balance companies are going to try to find is supporting these causes and doing it in a way that doesn't create a huge backlash. Well, you need a marketing expert for that. I'll agree with that. I'll go ahead and put my marketing expertise stamp on that as well. Yes, I believe that some of these companies are still foolish enough to continue to try to push agendas and violate the trust that they have with consumers. But consumers are wise to it now. They're smart. They see what these companies try to do. And like they did with Bud Light, it's not even a boycott. It's a total walk-away cancellation. People don't want the brand. They're not interested in being associated with it. They don't want to buy what they're trying to sell. Those customers are gone forever. And a lot of us aren't going back to Target either. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.